In this video, I'm going to walk through the intraoral photogrammetry process using the Shining Elite intraoral scanner. But this time I'm going to do two workflows. I'm going to take the original workflow, shall we say, where we're using the coded Scanbodies on their own. And then I'm going to do the secondary workflow, which is an optional workflow, using the new Cap Scanbodies that was recently launched by Shining. When it comes to actually carrying out the scanning intraorally, we choose one or the other, really based on case or indeed preference. And generally speaking, we're getting really positive feedback using the Cap Scanbody workflow. So let's get a greater understanding of both. So we have the software open. We've got a typodont. I've got my hacks kit here, and I've also got my Cap Scanbodies as well. So I've got a case open here under my own name, and we'll start off by identifying that it's an intraoral photogrammetry case. We'll mark 4 positions. And in this case, we're just going to keep with the original coded Scanbody workflow. So I'm just double checking my kit serial number ends in 6F07, and we got 6F07 here. So we're using the correct kit. It's really, really important to make sure that we do always make sure we're using the right kit. We have the option to select Cap Scanbody. I'm not going to do that in this particular case. So we'll move on to the next stage. The scan, the software wants us to choose an implant system first. Yes, let's do it. We'll just pick a random one there. We'll pick the Neodent system and we confirm. And then we move to the scan page. So the software is guiding us through the various steps. So the first step it expects us to complete is the upper jaw scan. Then we'll do the upper jaw with the implants. That's our coded Scanbody scan step. And then we do an alignment step where the software matches those together. We scan the lower arch and we'll scan the bite. I've only got an upper model here, don't have a lower model, so we can't scan the lower model and we can't scan the bite. But that's okay because we're just demonstrating the intraoral photogrammetry workflow. So let's give it a go. So the scanner, I've got my 2 tips set up and ready to go. So we've got the photogrammetry tip and I'm using the standard, we've got the standard tip as well. So place the standard tip in position and then we can start scanning. So we'll start off occlusal, roll over, capture the platal surface and capture the buccal surface, and we'll try and capture as much information as we possibly can. What's really important to bear in mind is we're going to be doing alignments. So in this case, it's a typodont. It's nice and simple and straightforward. We could have a preoperative scan. We could be carrying out a preoperative scan, or it may even be a provisional arch or prosthesis that's in place. And we need to align the provisional prosthesis with the edentulous scan. So it's always important to try and capture as much information as possible. So I've gone right back here into the palate, up into the sulcus, if at all possible. Okay, it makes alignment a lot easier. Some people tend to use markers, little kind of tad mini screw type markers, and that's really useful as well. So we have finished the edentulous scan, and we're now going to move on to the next step. So the next step is the upper jaw scan with the implants in place. So the software is giving us a little illustration here at the top left hand side of the screen, and it's identifying that we should place the coded Scanbodies and in an orientation so that they're kind of meeting towards the center of the arch. So I take my kit, and of course we've got 3 different sizes and 3 of each of the different sizes of coded Scanbodies. So I'm going to position them and try and follow what's indicated on screen. So I'm going to use a combination here of the large and the medium ones. And we should torque them up just to finger tight. We don't want to over torque them. And what's important as well is that because they're sitting on multi-units, we want to make sure that we don't torque the multi-units. And we don't want to use these coded Scanbodies like a spanner that may end up either tightening or loosening the multi-units. So this will work for us. So all the coded Scanbodies are meeting relatively together in the center. We've got 2 large and 2 medium-sized coded Scanbodies. So at this point, we're going to carry out the scanning stage the intraoral photogrammetry stage. So I'm going to replace the standard scan tip with the photogrammetry scan tip, and we carry out the intraoral photogrammetry step. So before I do though, what I want to just pay attention to what's happening on screen. So as I bring the scanner towards the center of those coded scan bodies, you can see that the scanner sees all of those at the ends of each of those coded scan bodies. That is the ideal situation, that in that one view the scanner sees each one of those as a good starting point. Sometimes it's not going to be the case. We might only get to see 3 and we have to move to see the fourth one. And if that's the situation, that's what we just need to kind of accept that, but always aim towards getting them together. So we push the button, start scanning, and we move the scanner in a circular manner so that it's capturing the ends of each of those coded scan bodies. And then we'll step out along each one individually. And you'll see as we do so, the software is capturing more data. It's recognizing those dot patterns, and from that then it's recognizing where those coded scan bodies should be. And even though the software may initially bring up each coded scan body, it's really good practice just to follow the protocol, follow the strategy, and move the scanner out and along each one so that we capture as many of those dots as possible. So on screen we've now got the situation whereby we've captured the edentulous scan, and now we've captured the implant positions. So we have 2 sets of data, the soft tissue data, and of course we can see the MUAs in the soft tissue data, and that gives us an approximation for where the implants are, but not enough information to accurately define that. We've now done the photogrammetry scan, which is another form of technology within the one device, but what it's doing now is giving us a really accurate and precise location for each of the individual implants. The next step we need to do now is to match those 2 sets of data. So we've soft tissue and edentulous data, we've got precise implant data, we need to align them and match them. And we do that in the next stage, the 3rd step of the workflow, which is the alignment stage. What's really important is that we maintain the implant position, the coded scan body positions. It's really important we leave those in place. And what we're now going to do is we're going to do a scan where we're going to rock the scanner over and let it see both the coded scan body and the soft tissue at the same time. The software will then match them up. So what we see on the right hand side of the screen, we see the scan bodies, the coded scan bodies, and we also see the upper jaw, the edentulous tissue. So we're now going to do an alignment scan, and we'll see both of those sets of data jumping in together. So we start off from an occlusal perspective and roll over the coded scan body. Now we can see straight away those 2 sets of data have just merged in together, but it's really important that we go between at least 2 coded scan bodies and capture as much information as we can without going over the top, of course. So let's try and stay between 2 coded scan bodies, and this, we could see that the software aligned everything. We now move on to the other side. So it's nearly like doing a bite scan with your upper and lower arches. So we've done the alignment on one side. We now do exactly the same process on the other side. So start off in the coded scan body, roll over, and then move on to the next coded scan body and roll over. And so we have enough soft tissue there to work with. We've captured enough soft tissue information, and the software brings the arches together and we have an alignment. And then, of course, as we expect, the software then drops in the CAD geometry for the scan bodies into those implant positions. So that's the standard, or the typical, I'm going to use the word traditional, intraoral photogrammetry technique that was developed first. And what came shortly after that then was the Cap Scanbody technique. So I'm going to go back, we're going to create a new order. Let's go home. We'll create a new order. Same patient, myself. And we'll select intraoral photogrammetry, our 4 implant positions. And this time, I'm going to select the Cap Scanbody workflow. And we move on to the scan stage. Let's select the implant system again. So the first stage is the software is expecting us to scan the upper jaw with the implant or indeed with the coded scan bodies in place. So again, follow the illustration there in the top left hand side. Use that for guidance if in any doubt. So we'll again place the coded scan bodies. So straight away you'll observe that the workflow, the process is different to what we've done previously. Previously we did an edentulous scan on its own first. Now we're going straight in and we're doing the coded scan body scan. So again, we have everything aligned, the coded scan bodies in place. What's interesting to point out here as well, maybe we'll use a slightly longer driver, is that these two coded scan bodies are quite close to each other. That's okay, but it's really important that they're not touching, or if they are touching, that they're not biasing each other. What I mean by that is that if we had this one in place first and then we started putting this one in and it was touching this as we try and screw it in, the contact here may prevent it from actually seating properly. So it's really important to get them as close as possible, but without touching or indeed interfering with each other. So really happy with that, and we go ahead and we proceed with the coded scan body scan again. So again, a nice circular pattern, out along one, move back in, along the other one, move back in again, and let's do the last one again. Even though the software dropped in the coded scan body from the initial data that it received, we still carry along the full length of the coded scan body. So all is good there. Happy with what we have. So what we have now, we're starting off, in this case, we're starting off with precise implant locations. We're now going to remove the coded scan bodies. And always be careful with them and place them back in the box. They're our precise measuring device, so it's really important we take really good care of them. Another tip to consider as well is that there is an IFU for these coded scan bodies. So in terms of sterilization and disinfecting, it's really important that we follow the very clear instructions that are there. One thing that we have come across on occasion is that the coded scan bodies aren't being cleaned as they should, and the result then is that the contrast between the white dots and the black background gets reduced, and then it's harder for the scanner to pick up the detail, and then the concern there, of course, is that they might be harder to scan, or indeed there might be a compromise in terms of accuracy. So really take really good care of your coded scan bodies. So we've done the coded scan body scan. The software is now guiding us through what's required from the Cap Scanbody scan. So you'll see we just put the Cap Scanbodies on each implant position, and we can hand tighten them. There is a little driver connection for them, but finger tightening is sufficient. Okay, and then we proceed with the scanning process. So we'll start off as we normally do, but this time as we approach each one of the Cap scan bodies, we're going to rock and roll around each one and capture as much detail as we can. And what we've just noticed there is that the software, through a form of photogrammetry, the software has recognized that implant position. And if we go back to the other ones, let's try and capture that as well. So again, just rock and roll. There we go. Okay, so actually one other thing I should have done at this point, and that's okay because I've stopped scanning, we can restart scanning as well, of course. Let's just capture a little bit more of the palette. again, it's good practice for us to do it in terms of giving the lab as much information in terms of to allow for alignment as possible. Super. Now this is where the magic really happens, because what we've got two sets of data. One set of data is the edentulous tissue with, let's say, an approximation for where the implants are positioned. The second set of data is very high accuracy implant position. So the software has accurate information and maybe not so accurate information, and therefore it's easy for the software then to align everything, and that's all we need to do. We move on to the next step. The software will do that for us. So it knows, it has an approximation for where those 4 implants are. It has another set of data which is very accurate information for where those implants are, and so therefore it's easy to drop them in and match them. And you can see now that everything is lined up exactly as we want it to be. We hit finish, and then we've got an option then to confirm our CAD geometries for the Scanbodies of choice. And of course you have the Neodent ones in there. That all looks great. And we can complete. And again, the software is guiding us through the steps to scan the lower jaw and of course the bite as well before proceeding. So I hope that was useful and informative guidance through 2 different strategies. As I say, most people are now leaning towards the Cap Scanbody workflow because it's easier to do. It removes a stage of scanning, and it also the Cap Scanbodies give a reference as well. So particularly if it's a surgical case, that the software, once it recognizes a Cap Scanbody, it knows what's going on in that location. So as we move around, it's kind of giving us a little more stable landmarks and references to work towards as we scan. So I hope you found the video useful and informative, and as always, if you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to our support team at support@esmdigitalsolutions.com. Thank you and goodbye.